What if one small piece of copper in your garden really could change how your plants grow, but not in the way the internet keeps telling you? Because here's the honest truth. Electroculture has a real history, real experiments, and also a lot of hype mixed in. And today, I'm going to show you two things. First, the simple copper wire antenna method you can try in your own bed for about $5. And second, the part most videos skip, what the best modern research suggests actually happens when you stick copper into soil. And by the end, you'll know whether this is a game changer or just a good-looking garden myth. And I'll share the one copper secret that does have a strong track record in real gardens, especially with tomatoes. So, if you've been hearing the claim, copper wire triples your harvest, I get the appeal. We all want the simple answer, the quiet trick, the thing that doesn't require another bag, another bottle, another subscription to modern life. But in Family Yard Kitchen, we try to keep a steady rhythm. Keep what works, question what doesn't, and make it practical for a normal backyard. And that's why today's video is not believe or don't believe, it's test it in a clean, simple way, and understand what copper can realistically do for your soil and your plants. So before we get into the build, if you enjoy videos that cut through the hype and actually test these garden claims, tap like and subscribe. It helps this kind of practical content reach more home growers. Now, before we build anything, let me tell you a story gardeners have been telling for generations. There's this Dust Bowl era kind of story. Maybe you've heard a version of it. A farmer who can't afford fertilizer, fields tired, weather brutal, neighbors leaving, and somehow his plants do better than they should. In the story, the secret is copper. Copper near a stake, copper near a wire, copper near something that reaches up into the air like a lightning rod. Now, can I prove every detail of a story like that? No. But I can tell you this. People have been trying to use electricity to influence plant growth for centuries, and governments took the idea seriously enough to test it. In the UK, there was an official electroculture committee formed in 1918, and it continued for years, publishing reports and running trials. The key detail isn't they proved a miracle. It's more human than that. They saw some interesting effects, but struggled to make it practical and consistent at scale. That's a pattern you see again and again in garden history. Something works sometimes, under some conditions, and then it gets overshadowed by methods that are easier to standardize. And that's where we land today, because electroculture online means two completely different things. Now, here's the biggest misunderstanding on the internet right now. Passive electroculture is what most viral videos show. Copper-wrapped stake, copper rods, copper spirals, capturing atmospheric energy. Active electrical systems are different. They use an actual power source, sometimes high-voltage setups in controlled environments, designed to create measurable electric fields around plants. Those two things are not the same. And when researchers test the passive version, copper wire around a dowel inserted into soil, modern controlled results have been pretty sobering. A 2025 study published in PLOS One tested copper-wrapped dowels in container vegetables and found no consistent improvement in growth or yield. In other words, if you're expecting triple harvest, passive copper stakes are not a reliable way to get there. Now, I know what you're thinking. So why do so many gardeners swear it works? Two reasons, both practical, both grounded. Reason one, copper is a real plant micronutrient in tiny amounts. In certain soils, a little copper availability can matter. Reason two, copper has a long history in gardening as a disease tool, especially fungal pressure, because copper-based sprays have been used for generations to prevent certain plant diseases. So sometimes people do a copper wire experiment, and what they're really seeing is a copper side effect, not a magical antenna effect. Which brings us to the practical part. Okay, let's get hands-on, because even if the research says not consistent, your yard is your yard. Here's the best way to test the copper wire stake idea without fooling yourself. Copper wire, something like 14 to 18 gauge is fine. A wooden stake or bamboo pole about 4 to 6 feet, and marker or label and a notebook, phone notes, or a simple garden log. Pick one crop you care about. Tomatoes are great. Peppers are great. Even zucchini. Divide the bed into 2 equal sections. Section A, no copper at all. Section B, copper stake method. Keep everything else the same. Same mulch, same compost, same watering schedule. Wrap your copper wire loosely around the stake in a spiral. Leave a little wire at the top and drive the stake into the soil so it's stable. Now, online, you'll hear instructions about wrapping direction and magnetic fields. Here's my gentle recommendation. Don't stress about that. If an effect is real and meaningful, it should show up without ritual details. Once a week, measure plant height, number of flowers, first fruit set, and any disease signs, leaf spots, blight pressure, or powdery mildew. Give it 4 to 8 weeks. And if you can, swap the sections next season to see if the effect follows the copper or follows the bed. If you try this, leave a comment with your crop, your zone, and what you saw. Those comments are basically a community research archive, and they help us choose what to test next. Now let's talk about the copper method I do respect, especially for family yards. Copper is famous in gardening for disease prevention, not harvest miracles. If you've ever dealt with tomatoes that look perfect and then one wet week later the leaves start spotting, you know how fast a healthy plant can turn. Copper-based sprays, like Bordeaux-style mixtures, have a long history as preventative fungicides. That doesn't mean spray everything all the time. It means copper is a tool, used carefully, especially when disease pressure is high and conditions are right for it. 2 calm safety notes here. Copper builds up over time if you use copper sprays year after year. If you're already using copper sprays and adding lots of manure and compost and burying copper wire everywhere, that's when it's smart to do an occasional soil test just for peace of mind. And here's a little family yard angle most electroculture videos ignore. If you keep chickens, your coop to compost loop already affects your mineral balance. Poultry manure and compost can be mineral rich, and that's one reason the coop to compost to garden loop can quietly improve plant health over seasons, without any mystery at all. So if the goal is a bigger harvest, the boring answer is often the real answer: living soil, consistent water, good mulch, and disease prevention at the right time. So, does passive copper wire reliably triple a harvest? In most backyards, it's not something you can count on. But copper still has a real place in the garden, especially when you use it for what it's actually good at, and you run a clean, simple test instead of trusting a headline. If you try this side by side in your own bed, tell me what you planted and what you noticed. Those comments help steer what we test next. And if you want simple, steady guidance for the whole yard system, you can check out Backyard Chicken Basics and Veggie Matchmakers. Feel free to click the link below. Before you click away, stay here. If you like this kind of content, click the next video on screen and I'll see you there. I'm sure you're going to like that too.